The fluorescent lights of Lowe's hummed a lonely tune, a background drone I tuned out with podcasts. For 8 hours, the half-built, half-empty store became my world. Each aisle a shelf of unmade beds smelling of sawdust and oil. In that quiet, small things started to sound like arguments, whispers in the machinery. At first, the oddities were laughable. Bathroom lights flipping on in empty rooms, motion sensors waking to nothing, alarms shrieking and then abruptly silenced. Coincidence, I told myself. Retail is full of strange little glitches, harmless quirks of the late-night hours. Then the arm showed up. While restocking fuses at 2 a.m, I stopped halfway down an aisle. Something human, pale as undershelf dust, stuck out from under the shelving. A forearm lay there, twitching with a life of its own. It moved like someone fishing for a lost remote, slow, deliberate, then quick when it wanted something. My brain struggled to file it under prank, but the arm moved like an animal, all reach and impatience, and I felt a primal fear crawl up my spine. I called Mike, my manager. He didn't laugh. "Oh, that thing?" he said, his voice on the radio unnervingly casual. "Don't get close. It can grab far. Just avoid that aisle." "What is it?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. "An arm," he said, as if that answered anything. "Shows up sometimes, pulls stuff under, heads back before 4. Don't mess with it." His words hung in the air, offering no comfort, no explanation. Described in daylight, an arm is just an arm. But at night, in the narrow tunnel of the aisle, the arm was a promise. A promise of something unnatural, something hungry, something lurking just beyond the edge of perception. It appeared in different places, on different nights, never twice in the same aisle the same week. It would lunge, not like a hand reaching for a thing, but the whole limb shooting forward 3 times its obvious length. Then, as if timed by an unseen bell, it would pull itself clean back under the shelving just before 4 a.m. That pattern was the only steady thing about it, a morbid countdown to some unknown horror. I saw it 6 times that first month. The second time I was braver, stupider, and hurled a can of spray paint across the floor. A desperate act to break the tension, to prove it was just a prank. The can clanged, rolled, then the arm lashed out, seizing the can in a motion that folded time, dragging it under like a moth snatching a coin. The speed made my ribs ache from reflex. After that, I kept my distance. Mike's "don't get close" became a mantra, a desperate attempt to protect myself from something I couldn't understand. But the fear was always mixed with a burning curiosity. Curiosity sat in my chest like a loose tooth, irritating and demanding attention. I wanted to know if it was a trick, a prop, the store's downtime entertainment. I wanted to be the person who proved it wasn't supernatural and could be explained away. When you work nights and you are 27 and careful and lonely, curiosity becomes an experiment you justify to yourself. At 3 a.m., a desperate attempt to find meaning in the monotony. So one night, I stayed past 3:45 in aisle 13, where it had shown up before. The lights hummed above, the wood-stained smell folding into the ozone of machinery, a symphony of dread. My hands were a little too steady, my breath a little too shallow. I was both terrified and exhilarated, caught between the desire to run and the compulsion to know. Time grew thin, stretching and distorting in the oppressive quiet. The warehouse noises were like heartbeats you don't notice until you count them. The AC's wheeze, the distant clank of a pallet jack, a soft thump as a loose pallet shifted somewhere in electrical. At 3:12 a.m., I told myself I was being foolish. At 3:37, I stopped telling myself anything and just listened, my senses straining to catch any sign of the unseen horror. When it appeared, it did not creep out. It snapped into the aisle like a rubber band released, fingers opening, closing, testing air with a grotesque curiosity of its own. There was nothing of a body, no shoulder, no elbow, only that reaching, pale and wrong. It snagged a pack of batteries and sucked them under with a wet whisper, a sound that echoed in my nightmares. I held my breath so long, my lungs protested, paralyzed by fear and a morbid fascination. I was a moth, drawn to a deadly flame. The arm retreated, as it always had, slow at the end this time, like a tide receding, revealing the horrors beneath the surface. I knew the rule by then. It goes back before 4. My stupid plan was to see where back was, to follow a thing that disappears under industrial shelving. It felt like trespassing into a mouth, a forbidden gateway to something ancient and terrible. But the imagined explanation pipes, false walls, a man living under the store, was more comforting than not knowing. I clung to the hope that there was a rational explanation, however improbable. 3:58. When the light above me hummed and the shadows compacted, I slid onto my stomach and peered under. The moment of truth had arrived, and I could no longer turn back. The shelf created a tunnel of absolute dark. My flashlight's beam died against it like it was bloodless, swallowed by the oppressive void. The air under the shelving was not merely dim, it swallowed light, sound, and hope. I thought of a throat, a cavernous passage leading to unknown horrors. I was about to be swallowed whole. I hooked my fingers under the front lip and pushed forward. The concrete scraped at my knuckles and the odor of old cardboard spewed up mold, oil, something copper, something ancient and foul. My hand bumped something, soft, a ring of rubber. It snagged my index finger for a quick second, and then, in an instant, so fast it erased my sense of time, a cold pressure closed around that finger. It didn't feel like fingers. It felt like suction and hunger, an insatiable need that threatened to consume me. I jerked back, and the pressure slivered away, leaving a chilling void in its wake. My heart drummed a frantic rhythm, and for a second I wondered if I'd imagined the whole thing, if the stress and eye strain had done me in. But the doubt was fleeting, a desperate attempt to deny the impossible. When I looked at my hand, a smudge of grease sat where a thin chain used to rest. The silver chain my mother gave me before she died. It was gone, stolen by the darkness. Know how long I lay there rubbing my hand, and the space felt enormous and full of wrongness. Eventually I crawled out, palms full of sawdust, and sat on the box until the fluorescent lights above steadied and made the world ordinary again. The arm never showed. That night, it never needed to. The store didn't just take a thing from me. It taught me what happens when you go too close to a mouth that wants to swallow small human comforts to punish curiosity.